Welcome to the Jameela Adams Experience podcast. It's a place and a space for women over 40 to be inspired, encouraged, and heard. Your host, Jameela Adams, will talk about how life be lifing and how to find joy when overcoming challenges. You're invited to join the experience. Hey everyone, thank you for joining this week's podcast. I'm so appreciative that you are here. So this week's topic is something that I crack up about because now that I am a mom, well, it's funny because I wonder if my kids say this about me. Here we go. Reasons why your mother was right. Well, obviously, she knew best. Your mom has lived longer than you and has done some things, and more than likely went through many situations that you've already encountered. And she more than likely has a better roadmap than you ever will. And she will give you valuable advice and guidance. The other thing too, she probably told you, because I know my mom never said it, but I just saw how she did it. Hard work pays off. She probably instilled in you when you were younger a strong work ethic. I hope so. I tried that with my boys, and yeah, they actually are pretty cool about, working for what they want, because no one's going to give you anything. You have to work for it. So she taught me, my mom, where that success comes from putting effort into whatever you decide to do, and it will pay off. The other thing, and I'm hoping that your mom did this, and let me preface all this before I even go any further, is that if you were in a toxic or a broken home, you may not have learned these things from her, or if you did the opposite. So whatever you saw her do that wasn't the best, I'm hoping you learned the opposite from it. So this is the other thing. Respect others. Your mother more than likely taught you the importance of respecting others, regardless of their backgrounds and beliefs. This value can help you build a strong relationship with others in your workplace, in school, even in your home, and help you navigate social situations. It's one of those things where our first teachers actually are our parents, especially your mom. And whatever you see her do or don't do, you're learning from her. So if you see how she treated the next door neighbor or the mailman, that will honestly set the tone of how your life is going to be. So the other thing too, and I know my mom definitely taught me this as well as my siblings, is that family comes first. She emphasized that, especially when there are arguments or literal fist fights between us. After everything was said and done, she would make us hug one another and tell each other we love you, because family is all you got. Now, there's an exception, especially if you were brought in a toxic or broken situation. You don't have to give a fuck. Step away. You can bounce. But the whole point is that you were taught that family comes first. But if you felt like your boundaries are being stepped on, by all means, say what you need to say and then be done with it. So the other thing too, honesty is the best policy. And like I said before, you watch your mom do some things. She may not have said it, but you seen her do some things. But she always instilled in you to be honest, to be truthful, because that is the foundation of any relationship. Be transparent. And this will, help you avoid any unnecessary conflicts, because truth, even though it has consequences, it's far better than lying about it and then those unresolved issues come up. So it's better to just be truthful and just deal with the consequence, because lying is going to be a lot worse. The other thing too, that hopefully your mom taught you. I know mine did. Um, be kind to others. And like I said, if you were brought up in a toxic environment or a broken home, you may not have seen this. However, I hope that you saw it outside your home and noticed that people have compassion, they show kindness, and that will help you in the long run, or it should, in dealing with others and building relationships. This all boils down to is your mom, like I said, is your first teacher. She taught you how to get up and brush your teeth in the morning. She taught you how to use a spoon. She taught you how to walk to the refrigerator, get a glass of water. These are all the things, the basic necessities, but those are stepping stones to our independence as adults. So if you weren't taught that, and you had to find it from somewhere. Anyway, the other thing too, especially with me, and I definitely put this with my boys, is taking responsibility for your actions. You are responsible for you, and you have to hold yourself accountable. And it goes back to telling the truth. Excuse me. Your actions have consequences. So in order for you to be productive, you have to know to take responsibility for yourself. And you have to obviously pass it on to others around you. I know in our household, responsibilities were chores. So everybody had their assignment. Everybody knew their part. Everybody had their, you got up, you vacuumed, you cleaned the bathroom, but it's teaching you responsibility. And as a whole, you're being held accountable because you couldn't leave the house until your chores were done, especially on a Saturday morning. So the other thing too that I still have issues, well, I won't say have issues with, I'm not going to say I have issues. I flub this once in a while, especially when I'm at home. Now, of course, I don't do this stuff out in public, but is practicing good manners. Now, what I mean, I don't do this stuff in public, like, case in point. My sister and I were talking, and my oldest son at the time, I think he might have been 4 or 5. He's laughing, giggling, and he walks past us, and he lets out the most wretched, most loudest belch that I've ever seen a little kid do. And he giggles, and so my sister, looked at him like, who taught you that? And he turned around, he giggled again, and he said, my mommy. I taught him that. And it wasn't like I taught him how to do it. No, because he watched me do it. I wasn't very ladylike at home. Now, of course, if you got me into public environment, yes, I knew how to have etiquette. I did have manners. But once I was at home, all bets were off. Anyway, I just crack up because I think of that story now. But yes, your mom taught you, hopefully, good manners and how to act appropriately, and how to use a knife and a fork. I remember, I'll have to check this to make sure, but I believe my mom did send my older siblings to etiquette classes. I don't think I went, but I think my sister went. But anyway, so your mom should have hopefully taught you to practice good manners. And the other thing too, your mom hopefully taught you is to learn from your mistakes. Mistakes are a part of life. It is what it is. We all mess up. We fuck up. We mess up royally. But because of those mistakes, if we learn from them instead of repeating them, we'll be a lot better off. So she was right about that. Mistakes happen, but you can't keep making the same mistakes. You got to move on. And don't beat yourself up over it. That's another thing too. Don't beat yourself up over your mistakes. They happen. So just learn from it and learn not to do it again. So finally, the one thing I hope that your mom taught you and was right about was to love unconditionally. Your mother, I hoped, showed you unconditional love. And I know I got that from home. And it's a beautiful thing, and it teaches you to love without judgment or a condition. And it allows you to build strong relationships with others, especially if you're planning on settling down or have settled down, because once again, your mom was your first teacher. She taught you how to love. She taught you how to show love. And if she didn't, she still taught you how to love. So just keep that in mind. So I have a challenge for you. If your mom is still around, and even if she isn't, tell her thank you. If you say a little prayer, or write it down in your journal, tell your mom thank you, and I appreciate you for everything you were right about. And yeah, go from there. I know for me, hearing it from my kids, it's humbling, and I don't know what I would do without them. But yeah, whatever I've learned or observed from my mom, I think I took it and put my spin on it. And that, honestly, that's what teaches us to be better parents. So until next week, I want you to be inspired, be inspiring, be encouraged, be encouraging. But most of all, I want you to be you. And I'll chat with you next week.